Top of the morning to ya. Got a good story, an old story today for you. Back many years ago, many years ago, when I was an alpine ski racing coach, that's where I kind of honed a lot of my coaching skills and stuff. But I had this athlete that at one season, 1 year of life, I was teaching at the school he went to as well. And so I knew this guy, I had him in math class for an hour, and every other day, we had block scheduling. I had him in science class for 2 or 3 hours, 2.5 hours. I think it was a block, 2-hour block. Well, it was probably a 2-hour block schedule. And then after school, I had him for 3 hours at ski practice. So on some days, I had him 6 hours of interactions with this guy. That's more than we get with our own kids. So to say that was a blessing to me to have that, one of the things that he ran into, and this is a small and not serious one, but it can be applied in serious ways, was as he grew up, he followed all the guides, he followed all the instruction. He started as a young 10-year-old whippersnapper when I started coaching with him. When I had him all those hours, he might have been 13 or 14. And right in that same range from 14 to 16, something happened. And he created a division between his internal and his external self. So what that was he got really buff and strong. He was doing the weight training and the lifting and stuff, and he was tall. He was taller than me. And one of the things we do is there's a lot of waiting around in ski coaching. So we wrestle around and shove around, and I can always beat all the 10-year-olds, right? So he had that internal story, that internal picture that Brian is bigger and buffer than he is. And at one time he was standing up at the start, and I was encouraging him, getting him fired up for a practice run. And he got up there and he started going, and he's like, I don't know what the tease was. It was like, oh, I'll get you this weekend, and I can take you and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, but it's not true or something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I said, Ian, I want to tell you a little secret. His internal self was that 10-year-old kid, that 10-year-old guy who hadn't buffed up and followed all the guides and instructions. His external self was big, buff, and strong, but his big, buff, and strong external self didn't know that it could overrule that internal self. Well, there's a misalignment. His internal self thought, oh, I'm weaker than Brian, and Brian's the big, mighty coach, and he can wrestle me down and get me knocked over into the snowbank anytime he wants. And that external self had the strength, had the power, had the might to do it. So I said, Ian, there's a secret I want to tell you. You're bigger and stronger than I am, and you can take me out anytime you want. And it took a day or two, but that's all it took for him to make that breakthrough, to completely grasp. I think he really grasped it that night, but he wasn't sure what to do with it. So that's a simple story, but there's got to be a place. There is a place. There are multiple places in your life where your internal and your external are not in alignment. They're not in agreement. They're not congruent. And God's probably pushing on you on one of those areas where your internal and external are in disagreement, because that internal external disagreement is bad. It is causing strife, challenges, interfering with your productivity, your relationships, your world, your family, your impact on everyone around you. So take a moment and think about, where is there an internal, external difference? Ask your friends, families, and cohort, where is there internal and external breakdown? Pray to God. Where's that internal and external mismatch? It's just a simple mismatch. It's not a huge thing. The external kid was buff and strong, and the internal kid was a little young kid. How many of those things come out in our coaching calls, our masterminds, and in therapy? It's like, what are the little things that are stuck in childhood, right? Dealing with those childhood issues. Once you identify that, put it down in the doobly-doo. And if you're ready, let's have a conversation about masterminding, coaching, or working together to become in unity between our internal and our external. You be blessed.